What's up, everybody? My name is Andy Moriarty. I'm the owner-operator of Frciton MCT. What is Frciton? It's basically police-style training for you, the civilian rider. Yeah, so I'm a retired police motor officer. I was a police officer for a little over 26 years. I ultimately ended my career as a police motor. That's where I discovered my love for riding motorcycles and training on motorcycles. One day I was at a stoplight and I was approached by a civilian at that light asking where he could get the same style training that we get on these police bikes. And that's when the light bulb went off. I thought that's what I'm gonna do in retirement, because at that time, I had never heard of any such thing, anybody teaching police style training for civilians, and I thought there's tremendous value in that. I can speak to this wholeheartedly. Had it not been for me going through motor school and learning the trainings and techniques that we learned as motor officers, I would have never went out and bought a bike. This is my way as a retired guy to give back to the community and make other riders out there much safer, because as an officer, I took a lot of collisions that were fatal, severe injuries, and it was usually a result of the riders being improperly trained or simply not trained at all. It's actually really scary. So a lot of this stuff, what this training is basically slow speed maneuvers in confined spaces. So we focus on making confined space turns, i.e. circles, U-turns, figure eights, emergency braking, which is commonly referred to as threshold braking, as well as collision avoidance. All these things play a huge role in our everyday riding, whether it's just getting in and around traffic in a parking lot, if we're going to a restaurant, or if you're pulling up to your local brewery, going on group rides, pulling up next to people along the sidewalks when we want to back our bikes in, and then getting through areas without having to put your feet out. Okay, one of the rules for us as law enforcement officers, man, is we're always covering the clutch in case of emergency. We need to get our brakes, and we keep our feet on the pegs when we're moving.
What is the biggest skill that people out on the street lack?
So I've been training this now with civilians for a little over 2 years. I will say the emergency braking portion of this. I've had several 25, 30-year riders that have never been on their front brake as hard as they are when they come out here. And you get that old adage, I'm not trying to make disparaging remarks against anybody, but, oh, I had to lay her down, I didn't have time. If you know how to properly stop and threshold brake using 70% front, 30% rear, chances are you might have been able to stop and then steer yourself clear of that accident without having to lay the bike down. So Chris, I gotta say that that's the number one thing. You know, aside from taking a football field to do a U-turn, the emergency braking is what gets us hurt.
Right. What I like to call it's like the difference between riding with car spacing versus bike spacing.
Perfect. That's exactly it. Yes.
People are used to spacing themselves with a car versus a motorcycle and that sort of stuff. So tell me a little bit about what's your teaching philosophy?
So I try to teach to my audience. I try to get to know who it is I'm teaching, because we all have different learning style. So in regards to the teaching styles, I was fortunate during my law enforcement career. I was able to be a field training officer. I was one of our lead defensive tactics instructors. Even from elementary school, I took classes on public speaking and getting up, so that's never been an issue for me. Having the experience as a police officer, what I learned is we all have different styles of learning. So something that may resonate with you, Chris, may fall deaf on someone else's ear, and then you get that kind of deer in the headlight look. So it's incumbent upon me as an instructor to recognize that and try to rephrase what I'm saying. So with the style of training I have out here, I wouldn't say there's anything cookie cutter about it. It's very fluid and outside of the box. So I'm going to do and say whatever it takes to make it resonate with my student and to make it 100% understandable to he or she. I get a lot of men and women that come out here, and you can't perform these techniques if you don't understand them. And sometimes I'll get that glossy look. I'll have them brief it back to me. So what we do out here is I'll demonstrate it, we'll walk it, we'll get our points, and then if I kind of get the feeling that somebody's not catching it, I'll call on that person and say, hey, brief this back to me, and we'll work things out. The other thing I tell everybody is that there's no such thing as a stupid question, that the only stupid question is the one not asked. This stuff can be very dangerous if not properly done, if we don't have a good understanding on it. So ask the questions. We were talking about apexing up in the hills going through the twisties one time, and a guy thought I was suggesting to ride into oncoming traffic in an effort to apex, and another guy started clowning him, and I had to shut that guy down. Like, well, I didn't get that out of it. Well, because you heard it differently, he heard it this way. We're not gonna make fun of this guy. He just didn't understand it, so let's clarify so he doesn't ride into traffic, right? It's that kind of stuff. It's tremendous amount of humility out here, and I don't want anybody saying or doing something that's gonna demean somebody else. We're all ultimately trying to get better. That's what this is all about.
Man, I don't want to go hang out with a bunch of cops. What would you?
So my first thing would be is, me neither. I'm retired, so you don't have to do that. My thing is, and even when I was a cop, a lot of my friends off duty weren't cops because I didn't want to talk about cop shit all day long. I do that for 10, 12 hours a day. I'm the golden rule guy. I believe in treating others the way you want to be treated. And we have a common goal here. It's the motorcycles. And I want to bridge that gap and bring people around here. So while I do get it, shame on them because they're really cutting off their nose to spite their face, because this is really, really good training. Again, I wouldn't be on a motorcycle had I not gone through that training. That gave me the courage and confidence to go out and buy a 2020 Road Glide, brand new out of the lot at Iron Steed Harley Davidson on Mother's Day, nonetheless. Had I not gone through motor school on something like this, I would have never done it. And the amount of joy and fulfillment that I've gotten from being on that motorcycle and meeting all these different people in the motorcycle community, I would tell you, take the cop shit, throw it aside. This is about us training, bringing together the motorcycle community with a better foundation of training that's tried and true and that has been for decades. Come out here and check it out. I'm not gonna be out here quoting case law to you. I'm not gonna be citing the vehicle code. I'm gonna tell you what you need to keep yourself safe, to make sure you get home to your loved ones after having a great day of riding. On a day like this, we got those beautiful green hills behind us. There's barely a cloud in the sky. This is when we should be out on the bikes. Get past the cop shit.
Cool. What's the best way to get a hold of you? And what's your training schedule like?
I'm trying to do it 4 times a month, right? So every weekend, depending on schedule, and then sometimes I'm doing some practice because I do like to participate in rodeos. The best ways to get a hold of me is you can get a hold of me direct messaging on Instagram, calling me or texting me. My phone number is blasted everywhere, or reaching out to me on my website. I'm also on Google. You can reach out to me there. It's got my email and phone number on that. So I'm pretty easy to get a hold of.
What's your Instagram?
My Instagram is Frciton Zone. What's the lowercase thing? Thank you, _MCT.
Got you. And I think we got an event coming up here at the end of May. What do you got to say about that?
That is going to be off the hook. That is going to be up at SAC Harley Davidson. It may or may not be being hosted by the guy holding this camera right now, Chris, and Ollie Seagraves up there at SAC Harley Davidson. We had already had an event up there last month, and it was off the hook. And what that is you'll have police style competition rodeo patterns, and then we have the stunt guys out there who, those guys are next level. They can get through these patterns that we're doing on one wheel. They can slide and drift into it. And what that's ultimately doing is it's bridging the gap with everybody. So you've got law enforcement guys that are riding law enforcement style. You got these guys that are bad guys that are out there doing the wheelies and stuff, and it puts them in a safe environment, and we get to exchange information. Well, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? At this last competition we had, I started talking to a lot of these guys. The education I got from them, dude, unbelievable. I was like, wow, okay, that makes more sense. I still can't do what you're doing, but now I get it and I respect it even more.